So Gustavo will chair a discussion session where everyone can bring up topics around Dream.
Right,
So.
right. Thank you, Julio. And I don't want to make it even longer than we have been here. But at the end of each of the Dream Challenges conference, we want to give the word to the participants and to the community that forms Dream to see what you guys think we should be doing, how we should change some things that we are doing wrong, or how to do better things that we do well. After this discussion, we are going to, if you want, continue with the posters that have to be taken out so that tomorrow the systems biology crowd starts to put their posters. But that's one thing that we do after. And if you are going to the hackathon, 6:30, we resume. But before those, it's open to everybody to say whatever you guys have in mind, criticize us or say good things about us. But who wants to take the first step? Yes, Rick. Do you want to take the mic so that everybody listens?
So someone asked me today for the olfaction challenge, but I think this applies to all the challenges about whether the gold standard test set data that was used for scoring would be eventually released, or whether it be retained for some sort of continuous submission process, continuous competition after the competition. So what's been done in other competitions? Are there some where that data has been released and some where it has not? What's the general opinion about the organizers and the other participants about what should be done with that data, or whether people should just be taking all the data and doing cross-validation for future work, or whether it makes sense to maintain a holdout data set forever?
So there are two things I want to say about that. One is always that we can, and there are no consent difficulties, we would like to release the data as openly as possible. In this particular challenge, maybe Whittle, do you want to tell about your?
That was me, basically.
Right. So I think that there is an attempt to do perennial benchmarking process in which data from. By the way, previous challenges, not all of them, but most of them, you can go and get the data from the Synapse Dream side of the Synapse website. So you can go and get that. For the particular challenge of the olfaction challenge, I think I don't know whether Pablo is here. Yeah, what are we going to do with that?
Yeah, it's going to get published in an open source journal, and once that's published, will be available.
So once it's published, will be available, but I think that if you put enough pressure, maybe it will be available before. I think that the question about these things is usually a balance between our wish to release all the data as if it were whole potatoes, and the need to keep something not public until it's published, because some of the Nature publishing groups, journals, for example, would like to see that data be released with their publication. So we need to work with them, and also the need of the data providers as well. But we always want to publish, and Whittle has been working and has finished creating a platform for getting data of previous challenges and keep them as a gold standard in a benchmarking situation in which people can submit to that and then be scored in a leaderboard that will be also part of the Synapse website. And we are thinking of using Elias ladder benchmarking scoring in order not to overfit to that leaderboard and so on. So all these things are coming together. But short is, data should be released, and we always work together with the community to have that done. Any other thing? Yeah, Gaurav?
I'm closer. So one thing I wanted to get comments from the organizers and all is about the duration of the challenge. So some of the challenges are becoming bigger data, the mammogram challenge, and so on and so forth. And a lot of these challenges seem to go by in a whiz, right? Few weeks. So even when the data is together, in order to do a good comprehensive job of integrating data and so on and so forth, you do need some time as a participant. And on top of that, a lot of participants are doing other things and working on dream challenges voluntarily. So is there a feasibility of expanding the time that participants have to participate in challenges?
What do people think about timing? I think it's a good question. Our feeling is the balance between immediate gratification and having enough time to solve it, right? But what you are saying, Gaurav, is that probably it's a little bit short, that we should consider doing longer span challenges.
Yeah, I mean, even in standalone projects, right? We do need, even as computational people, we do need a few months to understand the problem, get to the bottom of the problem. And sure, here there are a lot of mechanisms that we have to spend time on in our own work, but still, some time. And I mean, I am probably not imagining correctly, but I don't see any barriers from the organization side because a lot of this is automated. So I don't really see any barriers from the organization side to really restrict this into a few weeks.
Yeah, Rick? To some extent, it depends on the metric, but because some metrics asymptote because they have kind of a noise barrier there. But I agree with you that it's an empirical question, but also it is a challenge-dependent question. So you don't know whether the previous challenges will inform the next. Maybe they are SMC and all the same will. But I think that the question has also to do with the attention span of the scientists, right? There have been challenges in the past that lasted 2 years, for example, that were $1 million award, and it were experimental challenges. I don't know, what do people think? I mean, in principle, we can do challenges as long as possible, but it cannot be longer than the span of a graduate student, for example. Typically we think 4 months is more or less the time in which a student could devote some time within his or her thesis to do some work, some postdoc as part of their global work. But
one option could be not to finish by a time, but finish by a specific performance.
Voting at the end of it, who are in favor of extending the current round, who are in favor of going to the next round, among people who already submitted. Do they need more time? Do they think that still they can benefit from extension, or they think they can move to the next round?
There won't be any dream conferences. It would just extend it forever.
Well, if they have a limited number of submissions, they can keep their submissions and say, my work is still not done, so I want to make it better, but they don't get any feedback. So there's a balance. They want to get feedback, but they don't want to get feedback before they're ready either. So there would be a balance that they can
there is something that happened, Michael was showing. Everybody submits at the last minute, right? So if you have a deadline that is more or less coming up, you get a little bit in the mood, right? But if there is no deadline, I say, well, I have two more months to work on this. I continue to work on my previous paper, and then I will. So I think that there is a psychology at work there as well that might. I tend to think if it ain't broken, don't fix it. I don't know. Maybe it is broken. Maybe we have to do it faster. Or make it longer.
I think the mammography challenge will break it. If
Yeah.
it ain't broken so far.
Right. Anybody here thinks that we should do it a longer span, or anybody feels that the time that you got was okay? Michael?
Actually, after the RECOMB challenge, we actually extended the timeline because feedback was from participants that is way short. We tried to actually get it ready
challenges, I'll go on a little bit of a limb and say that they are still snapshot, because while the papers are being written, things are revised, and some of those things might change slightly, not the overall big picture, but some of those things are often revised. So, I mean, they are a snapshot anyway. So I think having the conference as the deadline for determining other deadlines may not always be productive.
We will continue this discussion about length of challenges in the forum probably. Any other topic that you guys want to discuss? Oh, Amit, come later then. So,
one quick note, hopefully quick, is that I think one of the main goals of Dream Challenge was to enhance collaboration. And at the moment, it seems that competition overcomes the competition by collaboration part. Are there any suggestions as how we can encourage collaboration? Any adjustment to the scoring system that crosses institutions and crosses fields, or any way that we can actually encourage people to go beyond their close friends in the lab and start looking for collaborations with areas like for the drug combination? We definitely needed to go computational people, pharmacology people, and someone that knows molecular biology, which usually you don't find them all in one lab. But I would be surprised if there are many teams that actually go and find the right people to make the team. How can we encourage people to cross that competition and get to actually collaboration?
how can we enhance collaboration over competition? Any idea?
So maybe it's worth commenting on the collaborative rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you...
Yeah, so for the Dream Olfaction, we had a collaborative phase. I think there has been two or three challenges where there's a collaborative phase, and that worked really well. Basically, bi-weekly we had a hangout. There was 10 people. I mean, I think it could be more. Google Hangouts only has space for 10 people, but and I mean, Rick was a great participant of that. I think that went really well. It's true that, so I mean, as I see it, at the end, it's all about, competition in the sense that who's going to be, main author in a paper. And I guess that what I've kind of came out of a collaborative phase, in my view, I mean, we haven't talked officially about this, but if you collaborate, clearly you can have impact on the final publication. Clearly your impact and your name will move ranks as you so even if you're not a best performer, I feel that as the director of this challenge, your impact can go further along. And actually I was very surprised that there was really a lot of collaboration. So some people brought in new features, other people used some approaches to order the new features. Other people took those features and used them in linear models. Other people reused those features in random forest models, and we really enhanced the final result. And it was really clear that linear models were good compared to random forest. So I feel that was a really genuine way, and definitely the people that participate, and it's open for all participants. A subset of them participated, and they brought a lot of positive results, and clearly that's going to be shown in the final paper. So I think that's a way of balancing things.
Yeah, I want to say two things about that. One is that it depends on the local environment that is formed, right? It's somehow in some groups there are better rapport than in other groups, and so probably that in the olfaction challenge it worked great. So in other challenges it hasn't worked well, but we need to learn how to do that. Somehow we didn't learn to generalize. But I think what Shirin was saying was more in the context of the normal competitive phase, whether there could be more ways to make people want to collaborate with others, and which is another way of collaboration. That would be Amit.
partner will collaborate with it, and then we can do it. That could be one way.
Vidal?
I think that this also plays with extending the length of the product. So you have, say, 2 stages. Yeah, I wrote the email to you, so suggesting this type of solution that there is a first stage that people have to publish the results and then just can look which solutions they can take and mix them and find collaborations. And then if someone uses some results, then gives credits, and all people who contribute to first solutions get credited and get published. So we are authors of the main paper.
Right.
This is my proposal, to make it a bit longer and make it 2 stages. Mandatory publishing of data and algorithm in the first stage, and then open collaborative phase.
Just to kind of play the antagonist here. So what if you're the top performing group, and at the end of that round, somebody makes a minor tweak to your method and it gets slightly better? Do you feel like that dilutes your contribution, because really, the bulk of the work was from your methodology and all the stuff you did, and one little minor tweak might have improved it slightly? That's a question.
Well, I'm not. I've never been in a position of the best performing group. So, but I think that still, if this best performing group gets credit and it says that the bulk of the methods was developed by this group and they are co-authors of the main, why not? Just someone is additionally joined this group as adding some added value. So why not?
You can never perfectly control that, right? At some point, you're going to publish your method, and somebody is going to improve on it, right? You can't always control that. So if it happens within the challenge, fine.
Version controlling also. So if there is a collaborative effort that there are different groups, there is going to be a history of who did what, and it can be open where people can actually contribute. This is my current code, and it's like at this time point is visible to everyone that this is what I accomplished. If someone else comes and improves epsilon value over what I did, it's clear who did what, and then they can trace back and say, this is my contribution to the big picture, but as a whole, this is our final product as a big group, that we have this big repository that everyone contributes to, everyone that have additional data, everyone that has additional insight, that write a document that people can understand the challenge, or write a code that others can use. Use this repository where it's openly shared. On the other end of it, like not as an incentive, as a counterpart to reduce competition, we can also have the first author at the consortium, not as a name. And then one of the things that in bigger labs sometimes I saw they do, instead of sorting based on contribution, they sort alphabetically. So there isn't a competition to get to the first author, because they know everyone who has the contribution will be in that portion, and there's like less incentive to, as they know that they're going to be on the paper, on the first page of the paper, but there's less incentive to compete with each other to be the first author.
Or a competition to go and change your name, right? So let's have, but this is great feedback. Let's have Michael and then Rick.
See, Tim's point that competition is actually a good thing. So during the challenge, in particular, teasing apart afterwards, what is actually the contribution of each point. For example, in the past challenge, one question was like, what do you think was the most impact? How you units the missing gaps in your data? How much did it help you to win the challenge? Did that help you to win the challenge? That was really difficult, just looking at one team which who were doing it. So I think it's difficult to tease apart those different pieces. And I think the collaboration is probably coming after the challenge actually. When you see like, okay, this group did something really smart, and I would like to collaborate with them. Let's try together a bit. I mean, a challenge is not like we finished, now it's done, we solved the problem. But most challenges we just see like, oh, it's still an open question. We just have to timestamp where we are standing. And I mean, like with the ALS challenge, you So like it keeps going. I mean, it's not solved the first challenge closing. I mean, there's still work afterwards to do.
Jim, 1 second. Rick had something. Okay. All right.
So I'm curious to get the perspective of somebody who actually won the not to, your opinion is very valid, Whithold, but we can look like, so Daniel won he would be considered in the top first author group. So this discussion, do you have any thoughts on? No, Daniel in the back there. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
We had that experience in the breast cancer prediction challenge that we ran in 2012, in which there was every submission to the leaderboard was open, and so everybody went to look at the best performing team, got their code, made a little change, and became better, right? And so they were not really innovating in trying to think, how on earth is this guy doing it, and try a new way. Rather, they made epsilon changes to what already was relatively good. So, so we have to, that's why we try to break apart the challenges into a competitive phase in which nobody knows very well what others are doing, except if they want to collaborate and share, and then finish it and have a sense of who did what, and do a collaborative phase in which now it's okay, because the diversity was created, now let's converge into the best. There is no perfect way to do this. I want to finish by just saying, because we need to go, there will be soon pizza and beer if you go to a hackathon, otherwise you cannot. And there are posters that still have to be shared and then taken off. But I want to say that, sometimes I wonder, what does it mean for me to think that DREAM is a community, right? So what it means is that we share some problems, that we are for trying to solve interesting problems together using our methods and so on, and we are concerned with this and trying to move this effort forward together as a community. So anyway, I think this is the last part of the DREAM formal sessions. What comes next is the hackathon. Thank you so very much for having come and participated, and see you next time.